leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world combat sports. Talking way too much, world combat sports. Talking way too much, world combat sports.
Yo, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. A-Side official. No negotiation needed, period. You already know WCS is back with another one. Shout out to my guy Haynes Legacy on deck. What it do, Haynes? What's good? What's good? May all is well your way, of course. You and the fam. Stickin' boys fishing and sports on deck. What it do, man? Good to see you in the building. This is like part 2 of, the skeletons coming, out to play. Because they always talking about the ones that's in the closet. But what if you have those skeletons that follow you everywhere you go? They ain't going nowhere. The host is the skeleton of your physical self. That's what we got going on with Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is almost like, how you see those great whites swimming around and you have those nurse fish that's swimming with it. That's what Shannon's freaking skeletons are looking like. It's almost like he will have an entourage with him, but you can't really see him. You know what I'm saying? You can't really see all the skeletons as with him, but they out there. And unfortunately, with the way technology is, somehow, some way, those skeletons are finding a way to become visible. Skeletons are coming. Them skeletons are here. They have found a way to make themselves visible. Why? How? Because all they have to do is allow a situation like the one we're witnessing in the media, allow that situation to become full scale to the general public, and it will pretty much you know how they used to say about people who finding fossils, it would unearth those skeletons that he thought that was buried. Those will become unearthed and make their way back to the host. Just when Shannon Sharpe thought those skeletons was gone for good, that's not the case. Let's talk about it, man. There's information out here, a part from Gabriella from Niga. Now we have information coming out. And shout out to Haynes Legacy for the $2 super chat, man. Salute to you. Much appreciated, man. Always thanks for the support, brother. You know what it is. We have a different name from previously that's attached to Shannon Sharpe for similar allegations. Ugh. What? Let me ask you some questions right quick. Do you think it was the football helmets? Do you think it was the head-to-head contact? Do you think it was something else going on? Do you think this is just an aggressive person in life that flourished in a full contact sport and they just don't know how to treat women? What could have been? What could it have been to cause this to become habitual? This is now being considered habitual. This is becoming a situation that could end. I don't know. That's why I put in there, is he finished? This could become a situation that could end him. So let me take down this thumbnail and let's read along. This is an article all the way back from 2010. Okay, Shannon Sharpe update, restraining order dismissed. Michelle Bundy infatuated, says acquaintance. But I'm just telling you about the order, about the public record. It says Atlanta, the Fulton County Sheriff Office says a temporary restraining order that was filed against former NFL player Shannon Sharpe, last week has been dismissed according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. If you look up here, this was back in September 16, 2010. How's it relevant to today? Just stay tuned. The former Denver Bronco announced Thursday that he was taking a leave of absence, a LOA, from his NFL analyst position at CBS Sports after Michelle Bundy accused the former Denver Bronco of sexual assault, claiming that he forced her to have sex with him, threatened her life, and stalked her, according to documents obtained by Sports by Brooks. Details regarding why the restraining order was dismissed have not been disclosed, reports the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, AJC. But when some who knew Bundy learned of her accusations, it didn't come as a surprise. My first reaction was, OMG. This woman is trying to put the screws to this guy. Troy Holliker, a Denver area acquaintance of the woman, told the Denver Post, everyone knows this is a lie. This is what the woman went out to do. According to Davis, another acquaintance, Bundy was infatuated with Shannon Sharpe, reports the Denver paper. Davis and his wife apparently allowed Bundy to live with their family for a few months, but Davis said Bundy overstayed her welcome and was eventually escorted out of their home by police. She has some insane ideas in her head that he's going to be in a relationship with her, Davis told the Denver paper. She was fabricating stories against me too. Davis said Bundy met Sharpe when he received media credentials while working for a television station in Denver, giving her access to Broncos locker room and games. He claimed Bundy lived in New York for approximately 5 years before returning to Denver this year and more recently moving to Atlanta area, according to the Denver Post. Sharpe is under consideration for the NFL Hall of Fame. He won 2 Super Bowl rings with the Broncos and 1 with Baltimore Ravens. So as we look at these previous allegations, it kind of put Shannon Sharpe in the driver's seat as pulling away from a bad situation. If you look at it, This was people that was coming to Shannon Sharpe's aid. You understand? These people saying, no, she's fabricating this type of stuff. The restraining order was dismissed. Why was it dismissed is the biggest question of them all. Now, what I won't do as a black man in society is group every situation that looks a certain way together as if everybody is guilty until proven innocent. That's not my method to reasoning. My method to reasoning is doing my best to gather the evidence, perform deductive reasoning, use a formula that works with the evidence that I have to create a conclusion. That is all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sort it all out, put the pieces together. Okay, I'm not going through the extreme because it takes a team. But I will say this about Sharpe. Being a celebrity, being an athlete, yeah, they're targeted all the time. Is there a point out there where women have had ulterior motives for involving themselves with athletes? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I say that this was one of those cases just because his friends said that she was infatuated? I don't know. The reason why I'm unsure to really hitchhike, based off what they said back then in 2010 is because the audio tells me that he just didn't pick up this type of behavior with these women. This has been going on for quite some time. And when he said, if you say that word one more time, I'm going to choke you when I see you. That means it can be sunny outside, hummingbirds just humming, other domestic birds chirping, singing. The melodies are so harmonized. It's like euphoria on the brightest sunny day with a cool, brisk breeze. You know what I'm saying? I'm close to the weekend. And Shannon Sharpe can come into town and visit Gabriella. And just because he remembered what she said with manipulation, don't manipulate. He said, if you say that word again, I'm going to choke you when I see you. Well, what if she would have said it again and the day was all fine, nice weather and everything? And finally, he gets to put eyes on her again. She did nothing this specific day, but he goes over there, goes out of the public eye, dips into the shadows, wherever they're going, and he chokes her, unprovoked. Basically, to compensate her and make good on the wager that he said on the phone. His wager was, you say the word again, there's going to be repercussions. And if she would have said it again, no matter when, next time he would have said, it's a possibility based off what he said, what Sharpe said, that he would choke her. I mean, that's damning to anybody at the end of the day. I'm not going to lie to you. That's very much damning information. But she had a protective order on him. And if the wording in that particular article, which we read, that said, Michelle Bundy accused the former Denver Bronco of sexual assault, claiming that he forced her to have sex with him, threatened her life, stalked her, according to documents by Sports by Brooks. Currently, Gabriella is claiming sexual assault. She's claiming that Shannon wanted to perform a specific type of act. She wasn't with it. She is basically making a declaration and standing by that she said no. No means no. Claiming that he forced himself anyway. And you know what rape looked like with a guy who has a previous history. They're going to bring this up. This is nothing new. If this was, if this information is out here to the public, of course, her attorney is going to bring it up and say, it's not coincident now, Your Honor. It's not coincident. Why? Because they're going to bring in the fact that he proposed a $10 million lawsuit. See, we're in 2025. This happened in 2024. And you're thinking about this previous incident in 2010, and there may be other incidents, but I'm not here to do a thorough investigation. I'm just saying, how long do you think it's going to take for them to reach back and retrieve and do a discovery? Go out here and hire, one of the parts of her attorneys to find as much information as possible. He performs a discovery on Shannon Sharpe of all the dirt he can get that's dealing with women. Or, he might even put it out there, hey, if there's any women who have been wronged by this guy, similar to the situation that you know that's going on right now, call me now. I mean, it happens. But how coincidental this new revelation has somewhat of the same residue as the old revelation. That just doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't make any sense if you're just ignoring it. But it makes all the sense in the world if you start piecing the puzzle together. Now, I didn't come on here today to absolutely try to make Shannon Sharpe look any different than what he's already looking. I'm kind of blending this in with what I'm hearing out here. All right. I hear these content creators talking about how, Shannon Sharpe, how black people are trying to make Shannon look a certain way. See, black people, I can't speak for every one of us, but being that I've been one since, day one, since birth, I have learned stuff. Everybody's experience is different. But what I can say about this is that we can be overbearing sometimes. If a non-black was to do something as such as this, and the woman have to be a black woman, then that's a whole nother case. That's a whole nother tone. Oh man, that's a whole nother tone. That's a whole nother tone. Boy, that look, that's a whole nother freaking temperature. That's an entirely different barometer. What did she do to him? I mean, I gotta listen to the whole story. She. I mean, just be honest. She might be trying to take his money. It got to be something. Just give me, man. I gotta find out, man. I just got to do a little bit more research. But this particular situation with Shannon, with a teenager, damn near, they're looking at it like she's a gold digger. She's money hungry. She's close to being considered a call girl. She's an OnlyFans model. Okay, just like down here in the South, we call it strippers. But as years passed, they said exotic. It went from exotic to entertainment. Okay. So we all know what OnlyFans is, according to who's the one that's performing on OnlyFans. I mean, some people, have way more extreme actions on that platform than most. But what I will say about this is hearing these black people saying that other black people tearing Shannon down. It's not just black people, it's other, ethnicities, races that's coming on this situation. And this has become a omnipresence, sort of, kind of, a reoccurring thing. You're attaching yourself to women in a way that no matter how much money you got, it just seems like that's not enough. Your entanglement is your self-control. That's what it seems like to me. It just seems like you got all the money, you're working hard, you are here making a name for yourself, people tuned in, but yet you have them internal demons. You cannot maintain self-control when you're with a woman without it getting some type of physicality. And I'm not talking about the physicality on the football field. I'm talking about a physicality of intimidation, imposing physicality privately. And this is a situation that is going to puzzle a lot of people, because you're talking about a guy who has earned so much in his lifetime, a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's all over, sports analysts, all that shit. You think that would be enough for him to conduct himself the way it's supposed to? Because in the Corps, they say you're a Marine 24/7. So what you do out in town, you definitely know it's going to get back to base. Well, it's not so much like that in a civilian pop. Like, you see athletes get in trouble all the time, depending on what it is. It's really, I mean, it takes a lot for you to get banned, right? But these are certain incidents that could have had him removed or sat down from a team. I.e., when you've seen videos come out of certain rape allegations of certain faith, not just black, but rape allegations come out, domestic violence cases come out. We've seen that happen with athletes where they got sat down. It's just recently, I think it was a basketball player who was pretty much choking his girl out, had her feet off the ground, had her in a choke from behind, and he pretty much, from my understanding, choked her out till she was unconscious. And he's no longer playing. I'm not saying his career is over, but it's going to be tough for somebody to want to deal with that type of history. But for these content creators that wants to target black people who are speaking on a black man, let me ask you this. When is it okay to speak on our own people based off something they did, regardless of what the race and ethnicity of the woman is in this particular scenario? When is it fine? Because the males go at the males all the time. The females will go at the females, right? But we don't need permission to speak on our own kind. That's kind of like civility, isn't it? We in 2025, and it seems like y'all still living in a oppressed state. Y'all are trying to censor your own people because you don't want it to look a certain way. When a person looks dead as wrong, you should have that consistency across the board. If you're going to defend even when they're wrong. Defend them. Just don't pick out a certain, celebrity figure that you want to defend because it's going to make you look good. I mean, I always say this about my people. They would try their best to tear down everything you have built before you knew them. When it comes to a situation where they feel they need to step out from the shadows and be extremely vocal on tearing you down just based off a situation. Look, without even knowing all the evidence, without even providing you ample amount of time for justice, they would sit up here and attempt to eliminate who you are and what you've built, the blood, sweat, and tears up to this point. If people, the content creators, if you are hearing someone speak on something that's out to the public, an opinion-based monologue is going on, or dialogue, why would you feel any type of way if you have individuals that's not in agreement with this type of behavior? Especially, I told you before, I don't care about what he did sexually with a female. I told you yesterday, she's a grown woman with her age. A lot of these cats are being hypocrites. They're showing their insecurities because shit they have done behind closed doors potentially will mirror up or surpass what Shannon has done for some of these dudes. But they want to get behind the mic because it's a female, and now they want to act like, oh man, I'm an advocate. Don't do that. You hear a lot of dudes up here mention D in the mouth all the time. D rider, sucker D, and all this shit. When it comes to females, and somebody say, I F your girl. Hey, man, chill with that. Stick to the D in the mouth, bro. Don't talk about no women. No, I'm not talking about anyone. I'm talking about his girl. He was disrespecting me, so I'm talking about what I do to his girl. Because that's what she want me to do. No, man, that's disrespectful, dog. Don't do that, man. Don't go there. You don't have to go there. I'm just saying that shit goes on all the freaking time. People are defending Shannon because of who he is in public. And, you know, I know some black people will defend their own in right or wrong. And in some cases, I don't have a problem with that. But in this case, I have some difficulty with him saying, you say manipulate again, I'm going to choke you when I see you. That means she's been choked before, whether she likes it or not. I believe it's a bit on her liking it. You know what I'm saying? Her being that type of freak and her being in situations like that with Sharpe before. And she had no problem with it. It was consensual. That's my take on this shit. On the flip side of it, it just pains me to hear, you know, people try to point the finger at other black people. No. Just keep it on that black person. That's the topic. Don't focus on other content creators. Barbershop. Don't focus on other black men to act like you're the king of the throne, because none of us is perfect, regardless of where we was born and who birthed us. None of us was born with perfection. Okay? We already know that now. None of us were. But in this now society, we have individuals that find it entirely too easy to self-destruct. They just want to self-destruct, man. And they just want to go goddamn ballistic in talking about people who's talking about the topic at hand. Now, another issue I have is, like, a lot of you cats never met Shannon in person. I don't hate him because I don't know anything personally about him. And I'm not coming to her aid because I do believe she has an insidious plan for quite some time. I believe she does fit into the fighting hole of many other female hustlers that's out there that's running game and get with these clients, and they just find a way to detach themselves and go in with a situation. Why was the audio recorded? She was all in with setting this cat up. My biggest gripe and complaint for Shannon, you let a teenager run game on you, bro, and you're 54 years of age. Smart, intelligent. I mean, very, very solid. Club Shay Shay. Solid. But it just seems like you lack self-control. I don't know if it's because you wore a helmet for so long, and you know the amount of years you play football, but there have been medical evidence that some of them cats that play football, they do have issues just like boxers. You know what I'm saying? You're receiving contact, constant contact to your cranial area, and there may be some issues going on there. Some of these guys used to being physical with other grown men, so they may carry that over into their personal relationships, regardless of Gabriella being a female period, not just Gabriella, but a female period just being that much more fragile. You know what I'm saying? Light in the ass, totally different weight class. And they just feel like they can just sit up here and dominate them and make them feel like they're inferior, to have that mind control over somebody. But in this day and time, if they are attached to somebody else, which it seems like she is, that's pushing this situation for Gabriella to get paid, then, Shannon could potentially lose a lot of money that he worked so hard for to earn. What does that have to do with you content creators out here pointing the finger at other black content creators because of what they're saying? If she didn't want it in the rear, then he shouldn't have hooked up the trailer, goddammit. I mean, what part you don't understand? If she actually said she didn't want it, cool. You know, she gonna have to prove that wasn't the case, because there's some other freaking text out there with her making it seem like, yeah, she wants that physicality. She wants Shannon to treat her real rough. But you have to be smart with that shit. You have to have somebody on speed dial. You have to have some type of documentation, receipts to clear you if any situation such as this comes out to the general public. That is all I'm saying. You have to have help. Else you're going to find yourself being reactive to a situation that's going to tear you down, because of the initial shock and awe that goes out to the public of knowing that, hey, these allegations are out about Shannon Sharpe is this, and this. The public doesn't know anything else except what just broke. What they're going to do is get online, find a search engine that fits them, they're comfortable with, put in some inquiries, and do their own discovery. And then they're going to start forming alliances or mobs, agitators, to get and start typing. And you know, those individuals can do work. You know what I'm saying? Those individuals can do mad work without even knowing if the man is guilty or innocent. You know what I'm saying? You notice I put guilty in front of innocent, because when these type of allegations come out on somebody, and you haven't been allotted the time to prove your innocence, people just say you're guilty. He shouldn't be working with ESPN no more. He's guilty. That's fucked up. So how does this all tie in to the second half, with Michelle Bundy filing a restraining order, being granted a temporary restraining order, and then having it dismissed? Did she know something that we are finding out right now from 2010 and 2025? Do she know something that existed back then? It's possible. And then again, it may not be true. But the restraining order was filed. The restraining order was filed. Was it not? The restraining order was filed. And it ended up, being dismissed. So let me take a turn and try to figure out some other things. This is what I want to know about Shannon Sharpe compared to other black males. Shannon Sharpe is one black man in society. We can't even consider him the 1%. We can't consider Shannon Sharpe as a black celebrity, a figure that us black people look up to and respect. And he's made all these various changes that helped out black people. We can't say that. All we know is, up to this point, he is pretty much reveled in the glory of having a successful football career. Not just any football career, a professional football career, right? Now it comes down to his post-career and him being in this situation. And he's had some moments, especially with Skip Bayless. He had some moments with Joy when she came out with those allegations. People thought he was involved. Michelle Bundy's situation with the restraining order. He's had some situations. The way he had his hand on a female hip, somebody took a picture. Well, somebody screen grabbed a video clip of it. There's been some situations, right? There's been other allegations that has nothing to do with this, so I'm not going to go into detail about his sexuality. But I will ask this question to Barbershop. When do you hold yourself accountable for hypocrisy? Because I hear you all the time, and I really don't care how much money a person has, but I can talk about this in this particular case because he's always mentioned how broke and dusty everybody else is. It don't affect me. It don't affect me. Seriously, it doesn't affect me. I'm not talking about this primarily to address how much money he believes he has. I'm talking about the words that came out of his mouth about other black men in this particular situation. Now, what he said about Shannon Sharpe, letting a 19-year-old, put him in a trick bag and put him in this unfavorable situation to the public eye. I agree with that. It's fucked up. Shannon Sharpe should have known better. He should have been smarter, more intelligent, make smarter decisions. He could have did more. But when you have people that's used to a certain lifestyle, they used navigating through certain waters and knowing how smooth it is. You know what I'm saying? They're not dealing with the white cap waves no more. You know what I'm saying? They're in calm waters. They get people know who they are. People come up to them. They have that sense of imposing, I wouldn't say authority figure, but celebrities start them a little bit. People know who they are, especially doing interviews all the time with other celebrities. But I do have some questions about what Barbershop said about black people. They making public lip and all this other shit. Recently, Terrence Crawford had an interview with the very same guy, Shannon Sharpe. And you notice I did a freaking live on that. And I didn't go through the whole thing because I was going to split it up. But the wild part about this is that I see my people extracting parts out of the interview that paints Crawford in a negative light, a darker light. And they feel out of the whole 3 hours, that is what they want to talk about. No matter what else was discussed, they want to talk about this. So let's talk about it. So let's go. Let me see. Let's go to Barbershop Conversations, right? And see what he had to say about Crawford and what he said on Club Shay Shay. This has nothing to do with him. Nothing. Let's look at the audio, listen to the audio right quick. And this is the audio of Barbershop Conversations. Okay.
Man, how you doing today? I'm good, bud. What's going on? I brought you something. Sit here. And you, and you be tell me how you sit here with your eye not closed. You said something interesting. You said the last one is not by her.
Right.
You said something interesting. You said the last one is not by her.
Right.
So this is a segment where Crawford, believe me, when I heard this, I wasn't shocked by what he said because I really don't care. They're not married. They're in a relationship, and that's another grown man business. But it's just how open he's being right now, like a boxer on the back end of his career. This is nowhere, shape, or form compared to what Shannon Sharpe has going on, and why this dude tends to bring other black men that he feels that's an easy target into a potential assault case. Now that's disrespectful. It's humiliating, distasteful. It's a lot of words that I can bring into the tongue in cheek, but I'm not. This clip right here has absolutely nothing to do with Shannon Sharpe's, trying to balance out both of them being like synonyms when it comes to their situation. It's fucked up.
Last one not by her.
He said the last one not by his current girl.
You would tell me how you sit here with your eye not closed.
Things happen. Like, different circumstances.
How do you? Walk us through how you go home. Hey, babe. How you doing today? I'm good, bud. What's going on? I brought you something. Hey, well, what's going on?
Shit.
Hey, so how you doing? Sit down. Bud, what you got to tell me, bud?
Nigga got one on the way.
Just like that.
Barbershop conversation. Y'all just saw what I just watched, man. Unbelievable. By the way, this is the guest house. This is what my guest house looks like. I got one of my friends is coming, had to cut the power circuits on, had to cut the refrigerator on, don't want to waste electricity. But dog, let's go down memory lane. I remember it was a UK fighter, right, who was very disrespectful to Crawford's wife. I stood up and I said, that's wrong. Tank Davis, that's wrong. Now we come to realize Terrence Crawford don't respect his woman. You stepped out, dog. Here I am thinking, because
you heard him. I'm not going to go all to the whole point, but he's saying Terrence Crawford don't respect his woman. That's what Barbershop Conversation said. Like it's any of his business, but it's public record. Why? Because Crawford said it on the interview. Crawford said it on the interview, right? Crawford said it on the interview. Let me let you listen to another. Let me let you listen to another piece of audio of what he has to say in comparison to the situation that's going on with Shannon Sharpe. This is a little bit more, it questions like, damn, how can you say those things and feel a certain way about someone who has absolutely nothing to do with the type of allegations that Shannon Sharpe currently has active on these platforms that they're speaking on? It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to me that this is where we at. I'm almost, hold on, I had to go back to the. So let me share and let's listen to the second piece of audio. And then I'm going to break this down just a little bit more. This is Barbershop Conversation. Somehow, some way, he's straight off the common path. Not even taking the business route. He just went off road in general, bringing up something that happened in Crawford. When Crawford's interview with Shannon Sharpe is really not, in my opinion, it doesn't supersede the severity of what Shannon Sharpe has going on right now. It's not even close within the same stratosphere.
And to all you Crawford fans, I read the comment section, and I'm finished reading the comment section. I love it because that just goes to show you why I am me and you are you.
Okay. Why I am me and you are you. Once again, I'm not making this a me and Barbershop Conversation. No, I really don't know the brother. I met him in person. I really don't know the brother like that. But right now I do find him to be intoxicated, right? Sipping on a full freaking gallon of hypocrisy when talking about Crawford's situation and trying to say, what black men don't do all the time. It just seems like every time a situation comes up when he can, extend his whole entire freaking arm, both of them at the same time, and point at you and say some shit like he's saying here.
Y'all broke. As Anton Daniels say, you dusty. You're cowards. See, you guys are cowards for Christ. Yeah, you guys are cowards for Christ, man. You're not Christians for Christ. You're cowards for Christ, man. You're idiots for Islam. That's what you are, man. Put that on the t-shirt, man. That's what y'all are, because it's acceptable for y'all. Man, I remember growing up. See, I grew up in Harlem, man, where black men wore suits up and down the street, man. They had a level of dignity and self-respect, man. I saw it with my own eyes, man. I saw the kid, and it's cool. That's acceptable to y'all. Go ahead and be YNs and baby daddies. Don't run a business better than me, because your career is completely controlled by somebody else. So you are an employee of yourself. Someone else runs your ass. I'm the freest man in boxing. My portfolio is bigger than anybody besides. Yeah, that's me. You hold Crawford accountable for ducking Spence. You hold Spence accountable for ducking Crawford, but you don't hold people accountable for being in accordance with God. That's why I say you don't do this shit publicly. You don't step out and have babies. Shannon Sharpe and Crawford, fraud.
Shannon Sharpe and Crawford. He's calling him Crawford. That's what he's trying, while calling whoever he's talking to broke and dusty. That's what we want to know. When we see all black brothers out here successful, somehow, some way they want to use their level of statue and base it off monetary salaries and where they're staying. What geographical location they're staying at. What size home they're living in, which, once again, I don't care about that. But when you bring it up for argument to basically be antagonistic to people who you believe is broke and dusty, and you're talking about two people who made their decisions as grown as men. Let's start there. Crawford and Shannon Sharpe are grown as men. Shannon Sharpe and Crawford should not be in the same situation. I mean, the same conversation. They should not. Why? Because it's totally two different decisions when it comes to what was ethical and unethical. There's no ethics taking advantage of a woman and sexually and saying, if she said no. I'm just saying, if she said no, but yet, yes, she's in a position where she is a, OnlyFans, and she's probably out there being, reckless. It's other words that you can use, being a hoe, allegedly. But even them, they get to a point where they might have a heart-to-heart with themselves and say, really, how much money I'm really going to make off OnlyFans over the next 5 to 10 years? How can I make more money? Let's say they're not extremely sober. It may be some other influences. And then the type of company that they keep when that person ain't around. They start plotting, scheming. They start coming up with ideas. How can we get paid? Then they start to use the same environment that's making them money to try to set up the ultimate catch trap. Now they start thinking about, how can I set this person up? Because they got money. How can I continue to convince him that we are on a whole nother level of comfort? We're trustworthy. All of this is in confidence. There's loyalty. There's fake love. But, anybody who's trying to, be in that moment, they're going to try anything possible to continue their nefarious plotting and scheming. But when I hear you talk, Barbershop, like, you're not taking in consideration that you mentioning Crawford and Shannon Sharpe just because they are on the surface for conversation. That's hypocrisy, bro, because I just don't understand. Like, you are talking about two black men. You're talking about two black men. I've heard you confront a Steve Kim in person. I've heard you talk about, other black men in a positive light. I get it. But now, once again, you're highlighting two black men that have two different situations when you're balancing it out on the scale of perception. They're totally different. You're calling Crawford a fraud, and you're basically assessing his situation, which I never seen you in an interview with Crawford, exclusive interview. I never have. I never seen you at any Crawford event where you and Crawford was just playing around, having a good time, rejoicing with each other, you know, and you having a personal relationship with him. I've never seen a video out there that you can say you was that close to him. But to compare him to Shannon Sharpe's assault allegations, that's preposterous, bro. That's despicable on your part as a black man to put another black man to say his youngest kid is not that of his girl. That's wild, because the truth shall set you free.
Those are the two biggest idiots in the black community ever. Shannon Sharpe just got destroyed by a teenager. And now guess what's going to happen to Fraud? When you get that check from Canelo, oh yeah, they coming, dog. Wait till her girlfriends get a hold of your new baby mama. Yeah, they coming. And I'm going to be the hater. But I didn't have unprotected sex.
You didn't have unprotected sex. I'm just going to leave that right there, because like I said, it's not about barbershop. It's just him being as vocal as he is, and his entire stance on this is to portray himself higher elevation than any one of you cats. From what I'm trying to tell you is that the way he come off talking is in a downward direction. That's what I get from him. I get that he's speaking down because he feel like the power that he has is all in his materialistic ideals that he live. And like I said, hey, he's doing good things. He's that's his business and all that. But I just don't want him to compare it to his status quo amongst his own people. Like, you can say you're one of the most important men in boxing. Who gives a fuck? I haven't seen you in Saudi Arabia. I mean, just because you have a history with Al Heyman, and that's supposed to have been a powerful man, a more powerful man than you go to war with him. What did Shannon Sharpe and Bud Crawford have to do with that? You went to war, putting all this man business out there in the street, bro. You went to war with a man that's supposed to be a representative of black men out here doing business, and in the boxing community, that he is the face, he is the name of PBC, and you drugged that man through the coals when you fell out with him. What does that make you? What does that make you to bring up two other black men in a situation whose actions are quite different? One is alleged to not have 100% consensual contact in a sexual engagement, and another man had consensual contact, which led to a child per se. And not to mention this, that okay, I don't care about how long the shit was going on. Obviously, Crawford believes that the kid is his. If you talk to women today, yeah, they'll be mad about a dude like Crawford having a baby by another woman. But let's not forget how all these fans from the other side was talking shit about his family. Yeah, let's not forget. Talking mad shit about his family. You know what I'm saying? He ain't married. He got this going on. Yeah, y'all was tearing that man the fuck down, and still is to this day. Still is to this day. But back to barbershop. Only thing I can do is laugh at somebody who used to support Clarissa Shields, but then turn around and make a video that Clarissa Shields wants to have a baby with her married boyfriend. This is the one who went up to Steve Kim and said, "Hey, why did you say those derogatory comments about Clarissa Shields?" He was all on board. But you're the perfect example on how you have a part-time commitment to supporting these black athletes. And if by chance, you're feeling a certain way of empowerment, you feel like you're the grand poobah now. just because you want to talk about ethics, Barbershop, you can't talk about ethics, bro. You can't. Come on, man. You're trying to compare your annual salary to ethics, decision of ethics. Is that what you're trying to do? I just don't like the overall. Like I said, I commend him for his business. You know, I mean, his business success, the movements. I commend him for that. But I'm gonna be honest. I am not like most. Some people will feel some type of way that they don't, you know, based off what he's saying, they'll take it personal. How can you take it personal? And he's talking to everyone that feels like he's talking to them. If you don't feel like he's talking to you, how can you be mad? I'm just saying this dude will defend a black athlete and then turn around and semi-destroy him. He went at Al Heyman when they had a, you know, when they had a falling out. He supported Clarissa Shields, the most decorated female of this era in boxing. He gets mad at her because of her decision on who she dates and who she wants to have a baby with. And look, his thing is like, because Clarissa Shields wants to have a baby with her married boyfriend. If that is not trying to call, no, matter of fact, let me just let you hear it yourself, because I can talk all day, but this is somebody who sit up there and let you know what's on his mind without thinking back to when he's made mistakes. All of us do.
Clarissa Shields, man. But you can't blatantly disrespects what God considers sacred. God considers marriage sacred. God considers marriage untouchable, right? And it's essential that you honor it under all conditions. And that's just it, man. I stand on this. Carissa, you're not an honorable woman. What's up, Link? What's up, Travis? All right. So it's sad that it had to come to this, Carissa. But you're basically your mother. You're just acting like your mother with 2 gold medals. Dishonorable. Didn't you say your mother didn't believe you when you said that you were touched?
So this is a person who confronted Steve Kim on the way he was voicing his opinions about Carissa, right? But then he is talking about her now recently, and he's attempting to say, you're just like your mother. Wow, what an arrogant son of a bitch. You are arrogant son of a bitch, bro. A pompous, arrogant son of a bitch. You will go through the extreme always to talk about how a black father is not in the freaking household. Purple lip niggas, that's another term they use. Why does a black man always have to say, you know, I have a sense of superiority based off my intelligence? And my intelligence is this. I'm going to explain to you why you are levels beneath me, because certain things that I have, you'll never get in life. Why? Because you just don't have the intellect to get there. I do. My business practices, you'll never be able to achieve because you don't have it. Well, everybody has a starting point. And Barbershop, you know, comes off to me like he don't care what your starting point is. He just know where he's at right now, and he's gonna bring every personal freaking situation up like he can talk on it. He's telling Carissa she's just like her mother, because her mother didn't believe that she was being touched and all this other shit. It's just despicable, man. You're talking about the lowest form. You're talking about a legitimate, validated jackass.
I don't know what word I can use on the internet, but you said that. Same thing. You got to be respected, man. And Your movie's not going to do well. Your fight's not going to do well because at the end of the day, who are you marketing to now? Thoughts?
He say, "Are you marketing to thoughts?" I didn't want to, just go. I'm gonna stop it right there. Are you marketing to thoughts? You know what I'm saying? Are you marketing to thoughts? Unbelievable. And this is all based off Shannon Sharpe. Carissa Shields has nothing to do. Shields has nothing to do with what Shannon Sharpe has done. But I got a question for you, Barbershop Real Talk. And like I said, this is nothing personal. But as a black man to another black man, and hearing you always talking about, your finances and how much money. I had another content creator do the same thing that you might, know very well. He felt the need to say his wife makes more than me and proceeded the next morning to be extremely still tight about something I said. He wanted to go to the bank and retrieve his own hard-earned money, in super chats to withdraw from the bank and show me that he was going to pay for his viewers pay-per-view, which that sounds like the dumbest shit ever. But you might have had a freaking relationship with him back in there, friendship rather, not a friendship. When I talk about relationship, a friendship, social media wise, and all this other shit, right? I see y'all have a commonality between one another. You love trying to convince people how much money you got, But I will say this though, Barbershop, if I could, like, can you stop working right now for the rest of your life? Will your spouse allow it? See, it's been times where we've been watching you and you was in the closet talking, and somebody that was also cohabitating under the same dwelling came by and slammed the door on you. I was like, what? Not him, the man of ethics. You're going and talking about Carissa. You're talking about Bud having a baby out of wedlock, when he's basically saying, what are your kids gonna say about that? I'm not going through the whole interview, but he started talking about the man kids. What his kids gonna say about that? I say, damn, the audacity of this black man, the audacity of his arrogance, and how he is just exuding pompous behavior because he's been able to get away with it. You've been able to get away with it. But a man like me, I don't care about your wealth. Right now I care about what you've been putting out there. And I must remind you there, Barbershop, it was a time where there was a situation out there. I don't want to bring up no skeletons, but I have eyes and ears also that talks to me in this boxing game. When you want to talk about ethics, see, I'm not even the type of black man that will even put the whole video and make this about you, because you didn't make it about me. But when you talk about how we should be acting, and when you say these names and call us this broken dusty and them people that it affects, and just dog your own people out in the process of trying to pretend like you all for your people, you must remember it was a time and place where you have an encounter with Kenny Porter. It was a time and place where you was in an altercation with Kenny Porter. Kenny Porter put hands on you, right? But a lot of people don't know the real reason why he put hands on you. A lot of people don't know the reason why you threw a left hand and it landed on the right jawline of this female that just happened to be in the equation. Now, anybody with some sense to understand 2 + 2 = 5.5, understand that something ain't right. Something ain't right. When you hand that motherfucking paper in that barbershop, that she's gonna say, that's incorrect. 2 + 2 isn't 5. Here, come get this and go back to work. We've sat here and looked at this whole entire video where you threw a punch. Kenny Porter is damn near 4 to 5 feet away, and you still followed through with it, punching allegedly a woman in the jawline. That's you on there, right? I know you're gonna say, that's just, that's just a guy in a hoodie and all that. But we all know what happened. But what people don't know when you talk about Fred and all the people that want to talk about ethics, being ethical, we all have sinned. Let's get that straight. We all have sinned. Even Fred, you've sinned. You just don't want to admit to being a sinner. You want to talk about this godly shit because you believe the situation that you're in, you're not considering yourself to be with the middle class. You consider yourself to be upper class because of the monetary gain, right? That's fine. That's fine. You as a man, that's not even my concern. My concern is the masquerading that you do when you talk about ethical, because this woman, who I even did you a favor not to make it messy, this woman was in between you and Kenny Porter. You and Kenny Porter. Kenny Porter and yourself. Ethics. You want to bring other black athletes into your ethical conversation? What about your ethics, homie? What about why were you and Kenny Porter up here fighting? Let's talk about ethics, because we all have sinned. But why were you and Kenny Porter fighting? And a female was in between. Why would she even engage? Why would she attempt to be a mediator in between two grown-ass black men? Unless she was the reason why you all was engaging in an altercation. And would that be the case? Because we're talking about ethics. I know the whole story. But once again, my brother, I'm not here to make it about you. I'm just trying to remind you that you too have made questionable decisions. You too have sinned. You too know that while you were sinning, God knew what those sins was about. And when you try to bring a Carissa Shields into the situation, somebody she want to have a baby with a boyfriend, and you want to talk about Bud having a baby with another lady, let's talk about the redhead that was in between you and Kenny Porter. You, Fred, and Kenny Porter. BShop and Kenny Porter. Why was she in the middle of two grown ass men? There's a very, you know what I'm saying? A very unique story as to why that whole situation played out. And that particular black story, I know we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about the redhead that was in the goddamn squabble. We don't need to talk about that, because that's been several years ago. But I just wanted to bring it to the surface like a rubby ducky. Just let it float around a little bit, because you're making ripples in the pond talking about other black men and what as if you're a perfection talking about godly. Were you godly when you had that altercation with Kenny Porter? And why were you in an altercation? What was the disagreement about? What was the disagreement about? So you can explain to the people, you know what? I too have made ill-advised decisions, and I just want to come forward and testify. I want to be honest with myself and others, especially those who look up to me, those who are friends with me, and those who respect me first and foremost. I have been sipping on my own cup of hypocrisy, very intoxicated. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I do parade myself around here with a higher level than arrogance than should be. And I just want to say the redhead was in the equation for a reason. What that reason is, I will not disclose. That's not what I'm here for. I just want to make Barbershop aware that your abrasive criticism and judgment of other Black people, you too have made decisions that are questionable. You too. You have been in front of the lens fighting with another man with the woman in the middle. And I'll leave it at that, buddy. I don't think the public want to know the deep down, because people close to the situation knows the entire breakdown of that. But I'm not here to get it messy. I'm just here to remind you that you're just like all of us. Somehow, some way, we've made decisions that are questionable. I mean, depending on how bright the light that we have to stand tall, you know what I'm saying, and address all sins, it's different for everybody. But the way you're up here just throwing these people names, saying crow fraud, and Shannon Sharpe, yes, it looked bad for Shannon, but you're supposed to be one of these voices that are for Black people. You want Black people to acknowledge that you are a man of intellect and you have many hats. But how you do it is talking down on people. That's not cool. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. But people don't say I didn't put it out there that I'm not being fair about it. I'm being extremely fair about the situation. Even with Shannon, I want to see what the next couple of days, next couple of weeks are going to play out with this, if anything. And also, I want to challenge Barbershop Conversations to, first of all, apologize for socking this female. This on camera, so I'm not making it up. I have the clip. Okay. I don't know why she would be assaulted like that in plain view. And Kenny Porter was 5 feet away. It's no way, unless you had your eyes closed throwing that punch. There's no way that you can sock a female in the jaw without even knowing that Kenny is like 5 feet away. There's no way. People that was telling me that was there, like, bro, you had plenty of time to pull your punch. You had plenty of time to holster that. You had plenty of time to just pull it. It wasn't like it was on a slingshot. It wasn't like, the firing pin hit your damn shoulder and sent that punch down range. You had enough time to stop the freaking punch. But at the end of the day, I hope you get better. You know what I'm saying? I hope you get better. Like you always say, you don't care what your people think, what Black people think. You don't care what the Crawford fans think and all that. I'm not talking for the Crawford fans because I can't do that. But I am talking to you, though. I hope you find a line of consistency. And when you're going for the target, work on that E word that you love using, ethical. Work on the G word, godly. They're not just to be said in conversation to make it seem like you're basically woke and you kicking some knowledge to us. When you want to mention godly, what godly are you talking about? Because basically bringing up and finger pointing and judging your people all the time on what you consider to be their sins and flaws, there's going to come a point in time where you better hope to God that situation that you currently maintaining right now doesn't come to a conclusion. That's what you better hope. When you're talking about broken Dusty, one thing I always say to these dudes, can you stop working today? Can you maintain that lifestyle on your own. God has blessed you with a higher standard of living, which I don't have no problem with when it comes to barbershop. That's his standard of living. For real, I don't have no problem with it. I can disagree with his actions and his words, but I could care less about what he has going on and how he tell people. He ain't talking to me. I just have a problem when he's addressing black people. If he's saying certain people are broken, dusty, he's not saying it doesn't affect me because the checks are not signed by him. Me and him doesn't have any freaking co-ventures, when it comes to business and all that. So, his kid, I see his kid shoot. His kid can actually ball pretty good. But this has nothing to do with his family. It just has something to do with you as a man. You too have been in the public eye fighting with another man because of something. And you know what that something is. I and plenty other people know what that something is. So when you're out here dogging out these black people, bro, think about what you was out there fighting for. Think about the betrayal that you went through. Think about all that shit. Think about the decision that you made that could have damn ruined everything. You can't call another black man who's currently in a situation stupid and not take accountability for actions that you made that's questionable also. I'm going to leave it right there. I don't have to go too much in detail about this shit. Let me get back to the chat. I never said I respected that he stepped out and had a baby. It's not my business who he sleeps with. I care about who he fights because I spend my hard-earned money to watch him. I think you might be addressing somewhere else. I didn't comment on what you said. I never said I respected that he stepped out and had a baby. Who are you talking to, Haynes? Fred got some nerve trying to pass judgment. Shout out to Town Biz, Sports and Entertainment in the building. What's good with you, Town? Fred got some nerve trying to pass judgment. Yeah, man. Why was this lady always recording phone calls? Why was this lady always recording phone calls? Yeah, she it's called pre-planning. You know what I'm saying? It's called ulterior motives, bro. She had a plan. You get to a point, let's put it this way. You have a high-end client such as this that's making good money, sign that $1 million contract outside of professional football. And, the plotting may begin. When a woman is basically allowing a man to ravish her physical anatomy, in a sexual type of pleasure, right? And yeah, there's a monetary compensation for that. But it gets to a point where, let's just say she's getting 5,000 here and there. She's looking at this and saying, damn, I have whoever else is attached to me to pay them. This is okay money, but it's not enough money for me to make where I can go get that house, get me a nice little car, and still have some money left over in the bank. Then the disingenuous plotting and scheming comes into play. Now they went from possible being genuine and having a little bit of feelings, thinking, he's a nice guy, to the fact that now I'm going to basically work on my acting. Now I'm working on premeditation. Yes. I need to prepare properly for these type of situations because I know me being so young, they used to call them tenderonis when I was growing up. She's 19, so young that at any given time she can say that she told him no and he took advantage of her. Well, you was willing to have consensual sexual intercourse before, right? Yeah. But what you're saying to the court is that you never allowed entry through the back door. That's what you're saying? No, I never did. And when he attempted it, I told him no. And that's what I put in the text. No man knows. Well, let me ask you this. Have it ever been any other schedules that you all met up And these particular moments occurred where you can consider outside of the normal sexual engagement. Yeah, sure, we did. Like what? Him putting a rope around my neck and choking me until I damn near pass. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have some swings that's hanging from the ceiling or whatever. And yeah, has at any given moment Shannon ever entered around that radius back there, that radius, and you allowed him through teasing to act like he could potentially enter at his own risk? Yeah. So you're saying it's been a moment where you said that it may have been okay for him to be around the proximity of the rear entry access point, right? Yeah, unfortunately, but I don't remember. I was so high, I was off cocaine. Come on, man. The truth is gonna come out, bro. I'm not saying she lying. I'm not saying Shannon lying. I'm just saying that audio with him choking her, that shit ain't gonna be a good look, bro. I'm not gonna criticize a man for his sexual escapades, goddamn it, because a lot of these cats on here know goddamn well if they was in his position, they would have those skeletons out there dancing, doing the two-step. Hey, what we got next? What we got next? What we got next? What we got next? What we gonna do tonight? I wanna know what we're gonna do tonight. Just I can't wait. What we're gonna do? What we're gonna do? I mean, motherfucker, just be them skeletons be dancing, yo. What we gonna do tonight? What is the freak off looking like? What the freak off is looking like? Dudes be on here trying to act like talking about sexual encounters are forbidden language because they rather just talk about other things. But look, I don't know how long they've been together, have been going through these escapades. But what I will say is sexual intercourse is normal. Of course, there are different variables to it. But like I said before, with all that aside, Shannon Sharpe sound bad in that audio. And like Town said, why did you start to record the conversations? If you all had a consensual relationship, why did you start? What happened? Why did you start the plot and scheme on Shannon and record his conversations? And then she started to act like a 19-year-old, y'all. You remember? Oh, don't manipulate me. Oh, you say that word again. What do you mean? She started to act like that goofy young 19-year-old. What do you mean? What you're saying? I don't get it. Very well. Because manipulate mean they're going to look at the older guy. That's the fucked up part about having money. It ain't going to do shit but pay your legal bills when it comes down to the court system. If she can prove that, look, out of the 1,000 times y'all might have goddamn been in there getting it in, it's that one time that she's going to paint this motherfucking Picasso the best she know how. And she's going to try to insert them no. No means no, Shannon. That's what it means. And look, I was looking at the picture, y'all, right? And I'm saying to myself, let me see WCS. If you had 4 or 5 shots of sake on an empty stomach, nothing to eat, some Funyuns. Let's just say you had some Funyuns, 5 or 6 shots of sake. You're a little buzzing, like we say back in the day, man, buzzing like a motherfucker. Would she get it? I'm just trying to see, like, look at this. You was about to sell it for 10 million on this shawty. Oh my God. 10 million. And she's not even like, dude, everybody has their type. But goddamn it, she's a bit broken to me. You know, she reminds me of a unicycle where the seat is worn the fuck out. Because whoever was on that bitch prior to, they knew what the fuck they was doing, and they had experience. They rolled that bitch until the seat started coming apart. You know what I'm saying? The screws start, you know, the axle was a little bent. I mean, she just gives me that, like, give her another 5 to 8 years, and she's gonna really age like goddamn almond milk in the back of your car in 98-degree summer heat. I'm serious. She's already going through that shit where she's gonna look older. She's gonna hit this stage where she's gonna be stressed the fuck out, especially if she don't win this lawsuit. It's gonna be crazy, bro. I just don't see how Shannon would put him in a situation where, attractive wise, I don't get it. I mean, the level of attraction to put this much effort into someone like this, no. You know, it's plenty other women out there that I'll say that have better bodies and much older that I can see Shannon spending this much time, but she give me child vibes a little bit in certain pictures, but you can tell on her Instagram that some of those pictures are digitally enhanced, and she's not as thick as it make her look, you know, but she's just a basic one, man. And unfortunate for Shannon, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna give you a piece of advice there, Shannon. Maybe you need to go have your eyes lasered, bro. That's what I think. I think there's some situations going on that deals with your neurological catalog, dealing with your vision. I think your shit is a little blurry, bro. I think you need to go get some laser shit, some laser eye surgery done. So when you're looking at these females, bro, you can see what they really are for real. I think your shit is a little bit impaired from that football. And really it's some shit that's blurry. It looks bigger. It might look more built. I don't know if you're seeing a freaking blur when you're looking at her. I don't know, but she ain't all that for you about to go through this damn shit you going through. She ain't, bro. No, I don't see it. Fuck that. Fred is hilarious. Crawford is doing what wealthy men do. Feed his sexual appetite. Women don't mind sharing wealthy men if they are taken care of. Shout out to Jessica the Queen. Let's say this to the chat, right? What we do know, and caveat to what Tyrese just said, is simply you have Conor McGregor out here that's pulling females' hair while his wife is right there next to him. He yanked on a female's hair. He has been on video receiving fellatio on a yacht from an unknown female that obviously isn't his wife. His wife fully understands that Conor is that guy that's going to be out there doing him. He had a sexual assault case against him. Yeah. Conor. Okay. Conor McGregor. He had a sexual assault case against him. All that shit. I didn't hear Fred dogging out Conor McGregor. Oh, because Conor has just as much money as him, and he's a Caucasian, an Irish Caucasian. He might have felt like, oh man, I'm not gonna say too much about Conor. His people might come my way. I didn't hear you talking about how he's, looking in public. I didn't hear you talk about godly when it came to the Irishman. Because you feel that Conor might show up in your area like Crawford. You still, you don't go to fights no more. You still might run into Crawford here and there. You know how his pull-up game is. He wasn't saying nothing about Conor when he was going through his cases. I didn't hear anything. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't hear these cats talking about too much of anything when it came to Connor being in the news, him and his people, and what happened to that female over there. And then, you know, how he punched the freaking old guy in the jaw for not wanting to taste his proper 12 whiskey. And you know, it's been several situations that he's been in, but we don't hear these high almighty African Americans over here talking about him, because he's been in serious amount of situations. But shout out to the boxing queen Jessica in the building. Shout out to the OG. Golden coming to the chat, and the first person he talked to, he say hi to is Jessica. Like Jessica's already taken. I don't want to have to do a live on you, Golden, if Jessica feel like you harassing her. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go and be anyone's co-defendant, y'all. For real, I'm not trying to be anyone's co-defendant, bro. I'm trying to save the brothers. For real, I'm trying to save the brothers. But I'm not going to take too long on this shit. It's an hour and a half. That's all they deserve. But at the end of the day, we're going to see how the rest of this freaking play out for Shannon Sharpe, man. We definitely going to see how this play out. Some people saying he's done. Other people saying that they don't believe it went down that way. Okay. But my message is, if you're going to talk about the blacks that's in the media for whatever unethical decision you believe they're made, talk about all the other non-blacks that's out here doing certain things. I bet he won't talk about Dana White, that situation he came up about him striking his wife. I guarantee that. I guarantee he won't mention Dana White's name, because Dana will sick the motherfucking wolves on your ass. I bet he's not going to mention Dana White. Promise you that. But y'all hold it down, man. Till next time, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game, man. Peace. I'm out.